Hello, this is Mrs. Schaefer, and I wanted to do the lab walkthrough instructions for you for the 510. And with this, we're starting to talk about specific heat, which is the capacity to store energy. Some things are really good at storing energy, and some things are not. Because of that, we have this idea of things that don't store energy well are going to be called good conductors, and those that do store energy well will be good insulators. An example we'll be looking at is the thermos. So to do this, you actually can choose between two labs. In our Unit 3, Chapter 5, you can go into the lesson 510 and you can choose either the Heat Transfer Lab by clicking on this link, or you can go into the 510 Rube Goldberg and click on that to find out about that lab. I'm going to go through both of them. I'm going to start with the 510 lab. So you'll click on this lab and you can go in and download the lab report to help you out. There are some examples. If you don't know what a Rube Goldberg is, then there's some examples and some helps here for you to use to help you out. And what you would do is go in and watch the examples, then pick a task that you would like to complete, plan that out. You'll be providing either a diagram or a picture, a sketch of what you've drawn out. You're going to explain how you transferred energy from one activity to another, test it out, and then share what happens. And that's for the Rube Goldberg lab. The other lab is the heat transfer lab, and in this one you're going to be studying out what happens as you heat an ice cube on a hot plate, but you use different materials to help you, and you're trying to figure out which one will melt the ice cube faster or slower. And you'll still download that lab report. You'll want to go in and save it to your computer. Either way, you want to rename the lab in the sense that at the end you add your last name. So it does not matter if you do the 510 heat transfer lab or the Rube Goldberg. You can choose same points for both labs. Both of them are there. Since the heat transfer lab is a virtual lab, I'm going to help walk you through some of those instructions and show you some of that information. And in the Rube Goldberg, you'll want to watch the videos of different Rube Goldberg so you can see what they're like. So the instructions are you're going to be using some tongs in the lab. I'll show you in just a minute what this looks like. You're going to pick up materials, put it on the hot plate, place the ice on top of the material, then you're going to turn the hot plate on. You're going to start the timer, and then you're going to stop the timer when there's no ice left. You're going to record that time, reset the timer, turn off the hot plate, use the tongs to return the item. Over here you'll see there's items on the board. You'll be returning to those items, and then you'll keep testing until you've tested all of them. So here's a picture of the lab so you can see everything. I've set one of them up. You can see there's the tongs, there's the item, the ice cube is there. It's just waiting to start the lab. What you'll do is record your information on your data chart. And then you'll want to finish answering up those questions. So now that you know what the whole lab is about, you can use your reading to answer questions 1 and 2 along with all the previous lessons that we have talked about. And then you'll be answering question number 3, which is about the hypothesis. And I have a help here for you on the board. I recommend you use the starter help to help you write your hypothesis. Then you'll go in and test all of your information out, recording the time that it took. The last thing you'll do is compare your data with your hypothesis. That means you need to restate your hypothesis and then tell me whether you were correct or not using the data. If you're not using numbers or responses or comparisons from the data chart, then you're not doing all of what you need to do for answering this question. Then the last question is applying what you learned. This is 6 points, so it shouldn't be just one sentence. You should have quite a bit of information here. What you're going to do is think about each of the materials that were used, what they're made out of, and think about how we use them in real life. So for example, what is fiberglass made out of? What is glass made out of? What do you think would make a good thermos and why? What's the best choice? So using just these choices that you have in the lab, think about what is the best choice and why. If something is not a good choice, tell me why. Because it says right here, based on the data you collected, what is the best material to build a thermos out of? So using your data, what is your best material? And then, is this design practical? Why or why not? Tell me some information. If you do not think it's the best design or practical material, tell me what would you use as the best material. So that's a super quick walkthrough. Let me go in now and show you some of the things in the lab so that you know how to do the virtual part of the lab. All right, so we want to go in and hit that Content tab. From there, we're going into Unit 3, so we want to use our tab here on the side. We're going to go to Unit 3. We're going to open that up. We're into Chapter 5. So when we open up the Chapter 5, it will give us all of our lessons here, and we're going to go to this lab, Heat Transfer 1. And when I go into this, I can download either this document or this one to help me out. So I'm going to click on whichever one I want. Remember, because I am doing more information on the virtual lab, that would be this lab. I'm going to go into investigation. I've already read the material, and I know that I need to click on the virtual lab and enter that. Want to allow the program to run. I'm going to go straight into the lab, picking a glove color of my choice. Starting that out, and I'm going to place a material. Notice if I try to do this with my hands, it's not going to work. I need to use these tongs. I'm going to pick that up. That is a safety thing because hot is hot. Place that down. So see how I have the aluminum. I just click for things when I want it. I'm going to place my ice cube on there. My timer is already set to 0. I'm going to push this little button here to go start. I'm going to push start here. As soon as this is melted all the way down, that means I see nothing but a puddle, and I can zoom in to help me determine there's no ice. I'm going to hit the stop. You can see that it went beyond that and it disappeared. And that's no problem for you. If you have that problem, you can just reset it and pick an ice cube up again. So that was our first material. I'm going to come pick a second. All I'm going to do is then I forgot to turn this off. Turn this off, pick up my material, place it back up here, pick up my next, place it on the hot plate, pick up an ice cube, move it back over onto the hot plate. Put it down, put the tongs down. I'm going to then turn on my heat and push start. Then I'm going to watch it melt. And then I'm going to record that data in the table. So we can see the time going through. You can watch carefully to see the stop time. I will not stop it. I'm going to let it go beyond, but you can use this to help you out. And then I can see that there's no more ice, almost. And there you go, there's no more ice. So you're going to end up wanting to hit that stop button. You can reset it. You're going to turn off the heat hot plate. Pick the tongs up, place the material back, then pick the next. We are now working with the fiberglass. You would do the same thing. When you're done with that, you're going to put that one back. Then you'll do the air between the glass. You'll still do that same thing each and every time, placing the ice cube on, putting the tongs down, pushing the start button, pushing the timer, and you're just going to keep watching it as it goes through, recording the time as best you can with this. You're looking at, right here, those are way too fast for seconds. So those aren't seconds. We need to know those are seconds. And then we have our minutes over here. We'll see each one has its own time. All you're doing is constantly, you're just checking it, watching it, making sure that the ice is all melted. When you see that there's no more ice and then it's all liquid, you're going to want to stop that timer. Again, I'm letting it go past the time to the point where all the liquid is evaporated. You're just going to record what you see. And then you'll turn off the hot plate each time to make sure that you have what you need for safety, because of course you would never in a real life want to pick up something on a hot plate. It would be a burn for you for the most part. But then we're just going to pick up the next material and move on towards that material, going through each one of those. Reset my timer, turn off my hot plate, pick up my hot, in this case, what is it? This is air between glass. Pick up the brick, place it up there, and do the same process again. Getting this centered so you can see it is a little bit more complex, isn't it? And that should help you out as you complete each one. If you have any questions, let me know, and enjoy the lab.